Well, hey there, everybody. I'm taking a little time away from writing Miracles of Kindness to talk to you about where things stand and what you can expect from us in the next couple of weeks. I've gotten some emails recently from people who are asking when they can expect a draft, things like that. All fair questions, considering the fact that we're less than a month away from publishing. I want to make sure you understand that things are under control, but just like any software product, which is essentially what electronic publishing is all about, we're pushing it a little bit. I liken it to doing a lot of work for a term paper at the last minute. Not unlike a situation Mom and I used to face in junior high school, or when I was in junior high school 50 years ago. Ironic, isn't it? However, it is July 1st as this reaches you. So I want to make sure you all understand what will be happening as we go through the last stages of writing and development for the book, because we're hoping you can be pretty quick in your feedback and responses back to us once you do get a draft. I'll be explaining our color coding system for story development in just a second, but first I want to talk to you about the contracts you'll be getting along with the final version of your story, both of which we will ask you to sign. The contract, called Sale and Assignment of Story, stipulates the use of your story and how you will be compensated for it. Obviously, take some time to read it over, have an attorney look at it if you wish. It basically says that you are assigning the rights to your story to us for our use as we write the story. For that, you will be paid $150, which for this first publication will be paid as revenues accrue, in the order that the story was submitted. That story will be exclusively ours for 18 months, meaning during that time, which begins the day of publication, July 24th, 2014, you cannot sell the story, even as retold or rewritten, to someone else. At the end of that 18-month period, you are free to sell the story to anyone. However, we retain rights to our copyrighted version of the story in perpetuity, and we can reuse it in subsequent versions of the book or other publications or presentations. Also, the contract says that if we haven't paid you in 6 months, in other words, if all this goes nowhere and we can't pay you, all rights revert back to you. The good news for you is that if we can make this work on a longer-term basis, each time we produce a revenue-generating product using your story, you will be compensated, usually at the rate of $150 per product, like what you're making for this version of the book. One of the reasons we're a little bit behind in developing your story is that we've been working on a few other things as well. Back in March and April, it was all about developing our iBooks author demo, so that we could prove that technology would work for us. Lately, we've been working to develop another kind of story to go along with the usual kind of Miracles of Kindness story, a story told from the perspective of the recipient of the act of kindness, the person who really feels the effects of the kindness. We also want to do stories about people who instigate acts of kindness, the people who have really created something special that touches the lives of a lot of people around them. These stories we call Profiles in Kindness, and there will be 4 such stories in this first publication. Peter Skinner of the Palo Alto Repair Cafe, Carolee Hazard of the $93 Club, Chris Anthony of The Beat Rolls On for MS, and Mike Elkins of The Gift at NDNU. You're also going to meet Lucas from Tanzania, whose life has been touched by 3 different American women. Their story is our lead feature. Just like your stories, there are stories about people who've created ripples in the lives of folks who needed help. The ripples image is one we use throughout the book. You'll see it a lot in our promotional pieces. We'd better. I just spent $240 on high-speed, high-definition film sequences showing little drops hitting pools of water, creating ripples. It's a beautiful thing. Now I gotta get my money's worth. By the way, the checks you'll be getting for your story are from Sangamon House, the name of the publishing company we're creating to administrate all of this. Sangamon is the name of the river that runs through Springfield, Illinois, where my father, Anne's husband, grew up. It's kind of a French-American Indian conglomeration of a word that means place where there's plenty to eat. Let's hope the same can be said for Sangamon House. So let's talk a second about the color-coded system we have for story development. Other than Lucas and the 4 Profiles in Kindness stories, all Miracles of Kindness stories have been divided into 2 basic groups, the Purple Line group and the Brown Line group. Purple Line stories come from our efforts 2009 to 2013, and in most cases these stories have been written already and are being fine-tuned now. Brown Line stories come from 2014 and are being written as we speak. Eventually both stories will go into the Blue Line group, which is the final version of fine-tuned stories. Most likely you'll be getting a Blue Line version of the story. When the story gets that approval from you, it goes to the Green Line group, which is the version you will get for signature along with your contract. In almost all cases, the Blue Line version you get and sign off on will be exactly the same as the Green Line version. We just want a little wiggle room in case we catch a typo or something. Why Brown Line, Purple Line, you may ask? My wife, the journalist, asked the same thing. Because it sounds cool, I guess. That's all. So here's the deal as we go down the stretch. Right now, with Lucas's story and with the 4 Profiles in Kindness stories, I have enough Purple Line stories to basically complete the book, and that's what I'm working on more than anything. I also am trying to work in as many Brown Line stories as possible, in other words, stories from 2014, and I'm counting on your quick feedback to help make that happen. However, looking at the volume of work that needs to be done and the editorial adjustments that probably will need to be made in order to make the book everything that it can be, it's pretty obvious that not all of the stories are going to end up in the book. I wanted to let you know that now. However, regardless of whether you're in this first publication or not, you will be paid if you're in the group that gets the link to this video. In subsequent publications, if we get that far, that policy may change. But for those of you selected for this first publication, you'll sign a contract that will stipulate your payment. For the rest of you who don't make the book but are seeing this video, you'll just have to take my word that you will be paid in the chronological order of your story submission, whether or not you're in the book. So that's the word for now. Hang in there with us. Watch for emails coming out that need your attention, and follow our progress as always at www.themiraclespage.com. And remember, you can watch our launch activities on that website Thursday, July 24th at 6:30 Pacific Time. You'll be getting more information about that as we go. Meanwhile, this Sunday, July 6th, I pick up Mom in Walnut Creek and bring her back here to our home in Redwood City so we can review all the stories and record some voiceovers. The next day she leaves for Boston and then Provincetown, Massachusetts, where she'll stay with my sister for 2 weeks. And by the time she gets back, all this should be done, just like in junior high school. Wish me luck.